Somebody, somewhere along your road, made you ashamed of the best thing in you. Maybe it was said to your face, "You're too nice." People walk all over you. You have to toughen up. That soft heart of yours is going to get you eaten alive. Maybe nobody said it at all, and life said it instead, through the ones who took your kindness and gave nothing back. Through the times your gentleness was met with teeth, until you started to wonder privately in the tired hours whether they were all right about you, whether the kindness was the flaw, whether you had come into this world defective, too soft for it, and every wound you ever took was your own fault for not being harder. I have waited a long time to make this video, because I needed to find the right words for something my people held sacred, and tonight I have them. So hear me, and hear me as an old man who has watched 70 years of hard people and kind people rise and fall. Kindness is never weakness. Never. Not once. Not anywhere. Not in any story I have witnessed in 7 decades of witnessing. The world has confused two things that have nothing to do with each other, and you have paid for that confusion your whole life, and tonight we end it. Because I am going to show you what kindness actually is, what weakness actually is, why the takers of this world work so hard to make you confuse them, and why the kind, and I mean you, are the strongest people ever made. Stay with me to the end tonight. This one is personal. This one is for the ones who almost let them harden you. Let me begin by taking the two words apart, because the confusion lives in the language, and my grandmother never allowed confused language at her fire. Weakness, she taught me, is when you cannot. You cannot hold the line. You cannot say the hard thing. You cannot bear the weight, so you drop it. You cannot resist the pressure, so you bend wherever it pushes. Weakness is an absence of strength, nothing more. Now look at kindness, and look at it honestly, the way she made me look. Kindness is when you can, and you choose. The kind person standing in front of a rude stranger can strike back, has the words loaded, feels the heat rise and chooses gentleness. The kind person who was wronged can return the wound, knows exactly where to place it. They always know, the gentle ones always know where it would hurt, and chooses not to. Do you see it now? Weakness is the absence of power. Kindness is the restraint of power. They are not neighbors, they are opposites, and only a fool or a taker would ever call the second one by the first one's name. My grandmother put it in the way of the old people with the horses. She said, "A weak horse and a gentle horse look the same to a man who has never worked with horses. Both stand quiet. But the weak horse stands quiet because it has nothing. The gentle horse stands quiet, holding back 1,000 pounds of decision. And the day trouble comes, grandson, the day the wolf comes into the pasture, you will see the difference, and you will never again mistake one for the other. The world is full of people who have never worked with horses, my friend. They looked at your quiet and called it empty. They had no idea what you were holding. And I saw the day the difference showed once in a man everyone had misjudged, and I want you to have this picture because it is the picture of you. There was a man in our community, the gentlest man in 3 families, the one who never raised his voice, never answered an insult, gave his time and his tools and his patience to anyone who asked, and was quietly considered by the loud men of that place to be soft, simple even. They said it behind him, and some barely behind him. And then came a hard season. I will not put all its details on the internet, but it was the kind of season that finds every community sooner or later, when something threatened people who could not protect themselves, and the loud men, the hard men, the ones with all the teeth, hesitated. They calculated. They found reasons to be elsewhere, because hardness, hear this, hardness is very brave against the weak and very mathematical against the strong. And the gentle man stood up, not loudly. He stood up the way a mountain would stand up if it decided to, and he walked into the middle of that trouble, and he did not move until it was finished, and it cost him, and he paid it without a word, and he never once mentioned it afterward, went right back to lending tools and speaking softly, and the loud men were very quiet around him after that, because everyone had finally seen it. The quiet was never empty. The quiet was a held reserve, decades deep, and the softness had been sitting on top of it the whole time like grass on a mountain. My grandmother said of him, "The kind are not missing their teeth, grandson. They are simply the only ones strong enough to keep them sheathed. You have been sheathed your whole life, my friend, and they mistook the sheath for having nothing in it. Their mistake. It was never yours. So hold those two pictures as we go on tonight. The gentle horse, holding back 1,000 pounds of decision. The quiet man, grass over a mountain. Every kind person alive is one of those two pictures, and you are one of them. And the first work of tonight is done if you simply stop seeing yourself through the eyes of people who never worked with horses. The second work goes deeper. Because someone taught the whole world to misread you, and they did it on purpose, and it is time you knew who, and time you knew why, and time you stopped paying for a confusion that was never yours. That is where we go next, and I warn you, this next part names names, not of people, but of kinds, and you will recognize every kind I name. Before I share the next teaching, I need to tell you something. I am not going to be here forever, and most of what I know was never written anywhere. So I sat down and I wrote it, all of it. 20 teachings, 4 parts, in the order they were meant to be received. The ones about the strength the world mistook for softness. The ones about staying kind without being taken. The ones I have never said on camera. It is called the native way, and it costs less than one dinner you will not remember. Scan the code on your screen or look in the comments, but do not leave yet. Because next I am going to tell you who taught the world to confuse kindness with weakness, and why they needed you confused. And this part is going to explain half the people who ever hurt you. Now let me tell you where the lie came from, because the confusion of kindness and weakness is not an innocent mistake. It is a taught confusion, and it is taught by the ones who profit from it. Think about who benefits when you believe your kindness is a flaw. The takers do. The takers of this world have one problem to solve, always the same problem: how to keep taking from good people without those good people closing the door. And the most efficient solution ever devised is to convince the giver that their giving is a defect. Watch how it works, because it has been worked on you. You give, and one day you feel the imbalance and you pull back, just a little, just once, and instantly comes the label. Oh, so you're not so nice after all. I thought you were better than that. So much for your kindness. Do you see the trap? Your kindness has been redefined as unlimited supply, and any limit you set is called the failure of your kindness, and you, wanting to be truly kind, rush to erase the limit. They turned your best trait into a leash, and the harder ones did the opposite trick with the same coin. They called your kindness weakness to your face, mocked the softness, so that you would either double your giving to prove you were strong enough to afford it, or harden into someone easier to fight. Because hear this, the cruel prefer a cruel opponent to a kind one. Cruelty they understand. Cruelty plays their game on their board. Kindness unsettles them. It operates by rules they cannot read, so they rename it weakness to drag it onto their board. My grandfather said it in one line I want you to keep. He said, "No wolf ever called the shepherd strong. Of course the takers call your kindness weakness." The wolf has been reviewing the shepherd since the beginning of time, and the review has never once been honest, because the reviewer is not a critic, He is a hungry party to the outcome. Stop reading their reviews. Consider the source every time and notice it is never the good ones who call your kindness weakness. The good ones call it what it is, rare. Now I owe you honesty, because a teaching that only flatters you is not a teaching, and there is a version of what looks like kindness that truly is weakness, and you must learn to tell them apart in yourself, because the difference decides everything. There is giving that flows from fullness, from choice, from strength, the true kindness we have been speaking of. And there is giving that flows from fear, fear of conflict, so you smooth things over, fear of being disliked, so you say yes, fear of abandonment, so you keep paying the people who would leave, and you have called that kindness too, and it is not, and somewhere inside you have always known it is not. Fear-giving is appeasement wearing kindness's clothes, and here is how you tell them apart in one question. Can you say no? That is the entire test. The truly kind person can say no and does and remains kind, warm, steady, uncooled while saying it. Their yes means something precisely because their no exists. But the fear-giver cannot say no. The no is physically unavailable to them, and giving that cannot refuse is not generosity. It is compliance. It is tribute paid to the fear. And the world can smell the difference, hear me. The takers especially can smell it. They pass over the kind and boundaried like wolves passing a guarded camp, and they feast on the fear-givers. And this exactly, is why some of you have been feasted on for decades and concluded that kindness was the problem. Kindness was never the problem. The missing no was the problem. So do not harden your heart. Hear the teaching precisely. Keep every ounce of the warmth and go find your no. A no delivered with love, I cannot do that, and I love you, come sit down, is the most complete strength a human being ever displays. Kindness with boundaries is the gentle horse. Kindness without boundaries was never kindness at all. It was fear doing charity work. And I watched a woman make that crossing late in life, from fear-giving to true kindness, and her story will show you the road. She was known in her circle as the kindest woman alive, and she was drowning in it. 68 years old, and everyone's everything. The one who could not decline a request, host after host, favor after favor, lender, driver, listener, keeper of everyone's burdens, and it was killing her. I could see it across a room. The kindest woman alive was gray with it, and one day, after a teaching not unlike this one, she asked me, trembling a little, if she started saying no, would she still be a kind person? Hear that question. A lifetime was inside that question. She truly did not know. Her kindness and her fear had been braided together so long she could not tell which strand held which. And I told her what I have told you tonight, that the no would not shrink her kindness, it would reveal it. And she went home and began, and I will not pretend it was easy. The first no of your life at 68 comes out shaking. Some people in her circle fell away fast, and their falling told her exactly what they had been attached to. But here is the part I want you to hold. She told me a year or so on that the strangest thing had happened to her giving. It had gotten smaller and become real. She said, "Before, I gave everything to everyone and felt nothing. It went through me like water through a pipe. I was a delivery system. Now I give less, and I choose it every time. And it feels the way I always imagined kindness was supposed to feel. Warm, mine, real on both ends. Her kindness did not survive the boundaries, my friend. It was born inside them. What died was the fear, and the fear had been wearing her face and spending her name for 50 years. Let it die in you, too. Whatever falls away when your no arrives was never attached to you anyway. It was attached to the supply. And now the deepest part. The part about strength, because I promise to show you that the kind are the strongest people ever made, and I do not say such things loosely. Consider what kindness actually costs, and what hardness costs, because the world has the price tags reversed. Hardness is cheap. Hear that. Any creature can harden. It is the oldest, laziest defense there is. The callus, the shell, the wall. Wounded animals harden. It requires nothing, no courage, no mastery, only pain and time. Walk through any bitter house, and you will find no strength there, only scar tissue arranged in the shape of a person. But to be wounded and stay open, to be cheated and still trust the next honest face, to be mocked for softness and remain soft on purpose, to carry 70 years of proof that people can be cruel and still get up and be gentle with the waitress, the grandchild, the stranger. Do you understand what that takes? That is the heaviest lift there is. Every hard person you have ever met is someone who set the weight down. You never set it down. You have been carrying openness through a wounding world for 7 decades, renewing it daily, by decision, against the evidence, and they dared to call you weak. My grandmother survived losses that would have ended most people. I have told you some of them, and she was, to her last morning, the kindest presence I have ever stood inside. And I asked her once, near the end, how she kept the softness through all of it, and she looked at me with those eyes that had buried children and forgiven the unforgivable, and she said, "Grandson, soft is what the strong get to be. The frightened cannot afford softness. They think it will be taken for surrender. The weak cannot manage it. Softness takes stamina. Softness is the luxury of the unbreakable. I have earned every gentle thing I do." And she smiled, and in that smile I saw the whole teaching of tonight, 60 years before I had words for it. When you meet true kindness in a weathered face, you are not looking at what remains of a person after life went easy on them. You are looking at a fortress that decided to grow gardens. And there is one more proof of the kind one's strength, the final proof, and it is about what lasts. Walk through your memory tonight and gather up the hard people you have known across 70 years, the tough ones, the sharp ones, the ones with all the armor. Where are they now in the ledger of your heart? Be honest. They are filed away as whether you survived. You remember them the way you remember bad winters, impressive at the time, and nothing you would ever return to, and when they passed, the rooms at their services were dutiful and the tears were complicated. Now gather up the kind ones. The teacher who was patient with you in 1961. The neighbor woman who fed you without asking questions. The uncle with the gentle hands. Look at what they still are, inside you. Right now, 60 years on, they are load-bearing. They are part of the architecture of who you became, quoted in your own kindnesses, alive every time you pass their gentleness along without even knowing whose it was originally. The hard ones conquered moments. The kind ones colonized generations. There is no strength contest here, there never was. One side builds in fear, which erodes, and the other builds in love, which compounds. You have been on the winning side of history the entire time, my friend, being told you were losing by people who will be forgotten as weather. So tonight I want you to take back what they made you doubt, and I want you to do it out loud in your own kitchen before you sleep. The kindness was never the flaw. The kindness was the achievement. Every year you stayed gentle in this world was a year you outlifted every hard man in your county, and the ones who called it weakness were either wolves reviewing the shepherd or the fear-givers excusing their own surrendered softness, and neither review was ever about you. Add the no where the no was missing. Yes, take that from tonight and take it seriously. Guard the camp. But the heart, leave the heart exactly as it is. Do not let their teeth teach you to grow teeth. You were not made soft by the world's failures. You stayed soft against them. And that is the rarest strength on this earth. And somewhere tonight, a grandchild, a neighbor, a tired stranger is going to be met by your undefeated gentleness and be changed by it, the way people have been quietly changed by it for 70 years, in numbers you will never know and were never meant to know. The hard ones leave scars behind them. You leave gardens. Keep planting, my friend. The wolves were never once right about you. If what you heard today stayed with you, the book is there, The Native Way, 20 teachings, 100 pages, written the way I would speak to you if we were sitting together. Scan the QR code on the screen with your phone or find the link in the comments. Read one chapter, sit with it. Now I want to hear from you. Tell me in the comments, who tried to make you ashamed of your kindness, and are you still soft anyway? I read every comment. And if this is the kind of conversation you have been looking for, subscribe to this channel. We are not collecting viewers here. We are collecting people who remember. Come back next week. I am not done teaching yet.